Camaieu de femmes, présenté par Veronica Antonelli. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm happy to be here with this panel of women to discuss not only books, but gender issues and the pursuit of our just due because of our talents. And so I really appreciate the way you pursue your interviews and the way you organize your shows. So thank you for having me as part of this.
We are praying a lot for everything. Well, so you were born in USA.
Yes.
Born in USA. Yes. And so you came to France. Why? Vous êtes né aux États-Unis, mais vous êtes venu en France. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il y a tellement de Français qui veulent partir aux États-Unis.
I was born in Georgia, in the U.S., in the South, in 1964. And that is the year of one of the major civil rights laws that was passed. So let me know when I should pause and allow you
Donc
to...
elle est née en 64 en Géorgie, dans le sud des États-Unis, et c'était à un moment donné une crise civile assez importante. Et donc, voilà. Wait and see.
Yes, and I was a young person who had goals and dreams, and I worked toward them, believing the laws were there and would protect my dreams.
Donc elle avait des rêves, elle avait des objectifs, et elle travaillait beaucoup pour ça. Et and then it was not possible there.
I reached my main goal, which was to report on the Dallas Cowboys in American football, America's team. And after 9 years of doing that job, I realized that I would not be given another contract. I knew I was reaching the end of my journalism career because I was 40 years old.
Oh.
I think everyone understood me. And I knew as a young person pursuing journalism and sports journalism that women on television, their careers were over in their late 30s because they didn't look attractive enough. There are lawsuits that discuss this.
Ah, bah, nous parle de sexisme en fait.
Voilà. Yes.
Et en fait, du fait que finalement, elle s'est rendue compte que voilà, passé un certain âge, bien, du coup, elle était moins désirée finalement sur les plateaux. Alors, elle est journaliste sportive parce qu'elle-même est sportive. Voilà. Because, yes, you are.
Yes, I've lived a life of activity because it was just part of the way my family grew up.
Donc elle a tout le temps fait du sport en fait. C'est comme ça dans la culture de sa famille en fait. Voilà.
And as I realized that the window was closing on my career, I started proposing ideas that my manager could not refuse, such as coming to France for the Tour de France as a reporter.
Oh yes. Ah oui, d'accord. Bon, quand elle a commencé à voir que les fenêtres se fermaient, du coup, elle a fait le choix de finalement se diriger, trouver d'autres solutions pour continuer. Et là, puisqu'elle était journaliste sportive, elle a proposé quelque chose à son manager qu'il ne pouvait pas refuser, c'est-à-dire venir faire des interviews sur le Tour de France.
Because Lance Armstrong is from Dallas, Texas.
Ah oui.
And I was working in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas. Eh oui, donc là.
And I proposed covering basketball across borders in Senegal.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had another example of French life and French people. Mm-hmm. And so when the door closed on my career, I decided I would go to a French-speaking country to take my career to the next level, to rewrite my goals, because the laws did not protect me against discrimination at work.
Donc en fait, elle est partie, elle a voulu aussi faire, par exemple, des reportages sur le basketball au Sénégal. C'est sûr que c'est violent. Alors évidemment, Armstrong, parce qu'il est né à Dallas. Et réenvisager, c'est-à-dire donner finalement une seconde chance grâce à ce nouveau départ.
In my family, I learned to not run from something, but run to something. And so I prepared myself for what would be next. And I knew that it would be a French-speaking country. And it turns out that France said yes when I put together a dossier and offered myself as a journalism instructor.
Alors bon, elle a quand même une mentalité effectivement aussi de lutteuse et de sportive, hein, parce qu'elle ne regarde pas derrière, elle ne regarde que devant. Et donc elle a monté un dossier. Elle savait au fond d'elle finalement qu'elle viendrait dans un pays francophone. Et why?
I had come to France 4 times
And you like this?
with the Tour de France. To cover the Tour de France.
Elle était déjà venue pour couvrir le Tour de France en fait. Ah, d'accord.
And as a woman 45 years old at that time, I wanted to elevate what I had learned and share it at a high level. If I had stayed in the United States, I feel that I would have to scrape for a petite post.
En fait, si elle était restée, elle a évalué que finalement, en restant aux États-Unis, il y avait le mur de verre était trop bas. Donc en fait, là où elle allait se diriger, le pays, donc là c'était la France, elle allait pouvoir changer de carrière et peut-être même plus évoluer dans un... Parce que there were more responsibilities in... you were not only... covering sports, but also...
I was covering high-level sports, professional boxing, the NFL, the top of the line. And so what to do after that? I did not want something smaller.
Oui. Parce qu'en fait, elle avait couvert... Alors, on peut voir peut-être les photos, là, justement. Elle avait des grandes stars du sport. Alors, can you help us? Because
yes, I will. I will help you. Well, I was going to explain that.
Yeah.
I also felt and feel a responsibility to Muhammad Ali and Rosa Parks because they personally and specifically helped me in my career.
Alors, elle explique elle avait rencontré Mohamed Ali et Rosa Parks.
Because yes, I can talk about Billy Ray Cyrus in a moment, but it was thanks to Muhammad Ali that I was on television doing my first sports report. I already had the skills, but my manager said that I knew nothing in sports until I invited Muhammad Ali to visit my television station with me. And there's a photograph of me with Muhammad Ali.
Yes, tu peux le mettre. En fait, elle explique que finalement, si elle a commencé, c'est grâce à Mohamed Ali. Et qui lui
le premier reportage à la télé dans le sport. Parce qu'avant, j'ai déjà écrit les articles dans le sport.
Yes.
Oui, and so at the end of my career in the U.S. in sports, I did not want to let it end what Muhammad Ali had opened the door to help me to achieve.
Yes.
And he had said in the 1970s that he would use his prominence in boxing to open the doors for Black people in their careers.
Oui.
And I am here to continue that.
Good. Oh. Erwan, est-ce qu'on peut avoir des photos, s'il te plaît? Alors, elle a expliqué que voilà, elle a voulu absolument continuer justement ce que Mohamed Ali avait aussi autorisé chez elle, parce que finalement, de faire ce métier-là, et pourtant au départ son manager ne voulait pas, et il disait tu connais rien en sport, et en fait oui, et elle l'a fait venir, et donc à partir de là quelque chose il y a eu une métamorphose finalement, et elle s'est spécialisée dans des gens qui sont au top.
But we can talk about this. Yes. The man on the screen in the photograph with me is the best NBA player in history born in France.
Oh, really? What's his name?
And a lot of French people don't know. His name is Jacques Dominique Wilkins.
Oh.
And he played for the Atlanta Hawks. He is now retired. But he was born in France because his parents were Americans in the military and in France. Cool. And you see, I'm talking with him one-on-one after a game in Atlanta. But he played at the time of Michael Jordan, and this man scored 26,000 points, so he's in the top 10 of scoring and all of these things, and he was born in France. Oh, so I share that particular photograph with my sports students.
Ce joueur-là de la NBA, Jacques...
Dominique Wilkins.
Dominique Wilkins. Il est né en France, voilà. Il est excellent.
Paris. Born in Paris. Wow. And played for the Atlanta Hawks and many other teams. But I'm interviewing him in 1991 or 92. And he was the star of the team, yet I have his total attention.
Wow.
As the photo shows.
C'était la star à ce moment-là en 91. Et c'est elle qui a eu l'interview.
Everyone interviewed him, but I had him also privately to find out what I wanted to ask.
Wow.
Bravo.
Ah oui.
Thank you.
Détermination, hein?
Yes. So this is the first day that I spent with Muhammad Ali. We are in Huntington, West Virginia, and there is the People's Champ, along with my colleague at the television station, Jim Backus.
Donc c'est la première fois avec Mohamed Ali, et c'est donc avec lors d'une réunion avec des collègues à la télé. And
we are
you look amazing on it.
Thank you. 1990, 90.
Ouais.
And I had become a boxing judge and a boxing coach.
Elle était devenue juge de boxe et un coach.
Un coach, Antoine.
Wow.
Because my manager told me I knew nothing about sports.
Oh, wow. He was very clever.
So I got certified because I had to have it on my resume.
Donc en fait, comme son manager lui avait dit qu'il connaissait rien en sport, du coup, elle a obtenu les diplômes nécessaires et elle est devenue juge en boxe et coach.
Yes. And I had private time with Muhammad Ali in 1990 because one of my contacts in the boxing community in the city told me that he was bringing Muhammad Ali and Buster Douglas to the city. The boxers at the time, who were the important boxers, and that I would have private time, and I did.
Wow. And for example, can you tell more about Rosa Parks?
Yes, of course. I interviewed Rosa Parks in 1988 in Alabama. And before the interview, I saw Mrs. Parks standing alone. And I was alone because I was the GRE. So I was the camera person, the interviewer, all of it. And the event was taking place outdoors.
Donc quand elle est allée, elle a eu une interview, mais c'est un peu, it was kind of, nothing was organized for that.
There was, her name was going to be added to a street sign outdoors in Tuskegee, Alabama.
Ils étaient dehors, donc parce qu'ils allaient mettre son nom pour nommer une rue en Alabama, et donc là, elle a vu qu'elle était toute seule, donc finalement, elle va la rencontrer.
So I walked over. I could not stop myself. I walked up to her so closely that I looked through her eyeglasses, and she stood there and accepted it.
Ah oui, donc elle s'est vraiment approchée beaucoup d'elle, puisqu'elle arrivait à voir à travers ses lunettes. et voilà. But,
and
you were impressed.
Yes. Because she was real right there. She was a real person in front of me. So I extended my hand to introduce myself, to shake her hand. But
elle a pris sa main pour lui serrer la main.
I said, Mrs. Parks, I never do this, but may I give you a hug?
Est-ce que je peux vous prendre dans les bras, lui a demandé, parce que je fais jamais ça, mais voilà. Eh ben oui. Alors, qui est Rosa Parks?
Mrs. Parks is the woman who refused to move from the seat on the bus in Montgomery.
Voilà, on pourrait dire ce serait bien qu'il y ait plus de Rosa Parks dans tous les jours en fait.
But the other part of it is she did not refuse to give her seat to a passenger. She refused the bus driver who in Alabama was authorized to carry a gun and use a gun on passengers if he wanted. She refused the bus driver when she did not move.
Wow.
J'ai la chair de poule là. I'm impressed de ça. C'est incroyable hein, ce qu'elle avait dit, c'est incroyable.
Yes, it's the ultimate moment of my life because when I asked to give her a hug, she said, "Sure, baby."
Yeah. Sure, baby.
And we stood nearly the same height. So Mrs. Parks and I hugged, and my heart was beating next to hers.
Okay, donc elle a pris dans les bras, elle a serré fort et les cœurs ont battu à l'unisson. Eh oui.
And all of the sounds disappeared. And I just felt the strength of her hug at age 75. And I was 23. She hugged me so tightly. And when I realized that I had lost myself in her arms, I let go because I was working. I wasn't being professional. And Mrs. Parks was still holding me.
C'est incroyable. Hein?
Ah ouais, la belle histoire.
Hein? Bon. And so we have to go a little bit more. You wrote a book, Civil Rights Baby. Why baby? Is it because of Rosa Parks?
Yes.
Baby?
The title is a tribute to Mrs. Parks. And
nice.
I am a baby of the civil rights movement because I was born in 1964. And Mrs. Parks, to many people, is known as the mother of the civil rights movement of the 60s. And the hug she gave me was like a mother with her baby.
Donc effectivement, le titre de ce livre, Civil Rights Baby, Baby, c'est en référence justement à cette réflexion, enfin voilà, ce moment intime, on peut dire, parce que c'est proche quand même, avec Rosa Parks. Et donc, effectivement, elle rappelle qu'elle est née donc pendant il y avait en 1964, donc c'était assez mouvementé. Et justement, moi, je me demande comment, en étant femme noire, comment vous avez pu, comme ça, franchir toutes les barrières? How did you do? Because it sounds amazing.
Surtout les barrières du sport.
Surtout, et en plus dans le sport. It's not
Parce
only
que
for
même maintenant, le sport est quand même un milieu extrêmement misogyne. On n'avait pas le droit de rentrer dans la voiture du directeur de la course, et parce que on n'avait pas le droit de voir les hommes sur leur vélo en train de faire leurs besoins, et on était complètement pestiférés. Donc encore maintenant, c'est un monde d'hommes, donc c'est enfin ça n'a pas changé, c'est un monde qui a le moins changé dans tous les sports. Donc c'est une performance que vous avez faite quand même.
Yes, there were many steps to getting to this point, but I remember when I was 14 years old, I had the worst day of my childhood. And what happened on that day led me to make a vow to myself. So that, of course, is in the book. But I vowed that I would be a girl who went places girls did not go. That I would be a woman who went places women did not go. That I would be a black woman who went places black women did not go. And that I would be a black woman sports journalist who went places black women sports journalists did not go. And on the worst day of my life, at the end of the day, before I went to bed, I was preparing in the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, and I said to myself, if you don't see somebody who looks like you doing what you want to do, we are waiting for you. We are waiting for you. We are waiting for you. And I worked at that until I reached my goal in Dallas.
Wow.
Que dire après ça?
Je me permets.
Bien sûr, bien sûr.
Non, du coup, je me pose la question, comment était sa mère, du coup?
Oui, c'est ça.
Où est-ce qu'elle a puisé cette force? Comment ça lui est venu?
Most of it comes from my father and my hands-on, the way that he raised me. My father coached my brother's basketball team and baseball team, just for fun, not at school, but the activity for the weekend. And I would go to practices as a little girl, but I couldn't get in the games. But my father always included me in a way that authorized me to make a decision and act on it.
Il ne fait pas de différence, oui.
Yes. Wow. And I come from a nuclear family, and mom and dad, no drama, none of that. But the backbone of it came from my father's authorizing whatever I talked about.
Donc, elle explique que dans l'éducation, finalement, son papa l'a éduqué comme un enfant, pas moins qu'un garçon, pareil. Et que finalement, il a autorisé aussi à réaliser ses rêves. Et c'est un bel exemple, je veux dire, oui, c'est vrai.
Ah oui, c'était à la base que tout commence.
C'est l'éducation.
Yes,
Education is
comme d'habitude.
Yes.
And I tell my journalism students in France that I hope each of them has someone who just authorizes them in whatever they say. It doesn't even matter what it is. I hope everybody has someone like the father that I have. I wish that for everyone.
C'est sûr. Chacun son chemin. Et alors, ce livre-là, vous allez le mettre en film, alors, le scénariser.
Yes, I am sitting
you're
here
working on-
with a very talented writer, Anne-Marie Mecon. And we have been working 1 year, 2 years. It's so much. We've been working to transform this book into something for the screen.
Wow.
We've decided it's worthy of a series.
Wow.
Because I spent 21 years full-time, CDE, pas de CDD, CDE, on American television. And so I have 21 years of episodes. And we are constructing a series that we feel will be universal and eternal, because the struggle is eternal.
Donc, elle est en train de avec tout ce qu'elle a traversé, je veux dire, c'est sûr que avec tout ce qu'elle a pu réaliser, finalement, elle a décidé de se tourner vers une talentueuse scénariste, pour mettre à l'écran en série. Parce que c'est une longue histoire, en fait. Donc, avec des rebondissements, sans doute. Sa vie et ses combats, et qui sont aussi le combat d'autres populations, c'est-à-dire combat des personnes noires qui veulent réussir comme les blancs, femmes, qui veulent réussir comme les hommes, et puis et quel que soit le domaine, puisque là on voit bien que le sport c'est quand même assez
c'est un des plus misogynes qui existent, oui.
C'est assez patriarcal, bref. Il y a quand même les dessins, c'est pas mal aussi. Tout ce qui est
le sport, moi j'avais suivi dans ma carrière le Dauphiné libéré, et on était bonne à distribuer les instruments publicitaires. C'était à peu près tout, mais autrement, on n'avait même pas le droit de suivre le parcours
des...
Yes.
Donc c'est un des plus difficiles.
when I was young and my father was coaching my brother's baseball team, girls could not play on the same baseball team with boys.
Mais bien sûr.
Now you can, but my father gave me one of those mechanical clickers to keep count of the balls and the strikes. And so whenever there was something in sports, my father knew what the limits were in the 1970s, but he always disregarded the limits. Because he, of course, had to disregard limits when he was growing up in Florida and Alabama, generation earlier.
And how is America now? Is it possible for a black woman to succeed?
It's possible.
Because we've got examples, anyway.
It's possible for a black woman to win the Super Bowl. If you saw Rihanna do the halftime performance, so there are many possibilities for women and black women, and sometimes you just can't stop someone who is talented. Sometimes you just can't stop her.
Yes, it's true.
And sure, black women, white women also, but black women do break through and succeed. However, let's talk a little bit about music. And apparently, with the recent Grammys, a lot of people said that Beyoncé should have won the award for Best Album and some major awards, and she did not. I don't know. That's not the discussion I want to have. But the discussion I want to have is when one gets to the top, sometimes in the United States, there is a mechanism or a system that says you have too much. Yes. And some of the judges for the Grammys said that. They said Beyoncé has too many Grammys. This is reported. And so, yes, a woman can break through, but then there's something sometimes that slows down.
C'est comme un plafond de verre, quoi.
Voilà, c'est ça.
Il y a un plafond de verre pour les femmes.
The platform, yes, that's it. Yes. But then we keep going. We keep going.